Hello everybody, Mr. Woods here, and this is my first video on CSS. So before we go any further, you need to know how to use HTML. You need to know how to write HTML web pages before you move on to CSS. So if you don't know that, stop this video, go and learn how to do CSS. Go and learn how to do HTML. Okay, you still with me? Great. CSS, what does it do? Well, it's really powerful. Once you know HTML, you need to know CSS. So let's have a look. I'm going to use this W3 Schools website, w3schools.com. Brilliant resource. Get into it, use it. It answers all your questions. Let's see what they say about CSS. So here's their introduction page. What you should already know, HTML. See, I'm not making it up. What is CSS? CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. Okay, so something to do with styles, and CSS defines how HTML elements are to be displayed. So what happens is you write some HTML that defines what is on your page, the text, the images. The CSS defines how that HTML is to be displayed. In other words, the color, the position, the size, and anything else you can think of as well. They've got a really neat example, so if I just click on here, this web page, which I didn't make, it is W3 Schools, so all the credit goes to them. This is just raw HTML, this page. Okay, there's no styles on this at all. You can see it's very plain, black and white. You've got some different size text, but that's all. Okay. By clicking on these links down here, I can apply different style sheets. So when I click on style sheet 1 here, all that's going to happen is a style sheet is going to be applied to the HTML. The HTML is not going to change. All right, here we go. Watch this. Beautiful, right? That looks like a professional website. The HTML is the same. That's all CSS has done that. Different font, different layout. Look, these things highlight as you scroll over them. That's CSS. Okay, let's do style sheet 2. Ooh, it's a red one. But look, these things are over here now. How did they get over there? CSS. How do they highlight when you hover over them? CSS. It's all CSS. Let's have a look at 3. These things highlight. That's quite nice. And 4. That's a little bit crazy. And back to no style sheets. So remember, at no point did the HTML change. All that happened, we applied different style sheets to the HTML. Well done, W3 Schools. That's a great introduction. Okay, so here's what we're going to do first. We're going to design a website and apply CSS to it to make it look like we want to do. When you're designing anything, the first thing you do is you do it on paper. Okay? I've done it on paper, but I'm going to use Paint so you can see what I've done. Normally just do it on paper, don't use Paint, okay? So the first thing when designing a website, you've got to wrap it up in a container. Okay, you've got to have a defined edge to it so you know how big it's going to be. So I'm just going to grab myself a rectangle here. I don't know, try again, there we go. And I'm going to draw myself a rectangle. Now this box is where the whole of my website is going to go in that box, all right? So I'm going to give this a name. You've got to give everything a name when you're doing CSS, so we'll do hashtag because that denotes an ID, and I'm going to call this box the container because it contains everything. Now, width. You've got to have a little think ahead. This is where you plan out what you're going to do. So the width, I'm going to go with 1,000 pixels, not 100, 1,000 pixels. Popular sizes these days are 1024, 1024. It kind of divides nicer, but to keep the math simple, I'm going to use 1,000 today. The width is up to you though, but do decide on a width. You know, don't just do nothing and do random stuff. Decide on a width. Okay, the color of my container color is going to be white. And I think that's about it. That'll do. Okay, let's grab another rectangle. So about here, I'm going to have like the heading of my website. What it's going to have the title of whatever it is, you know, starwars.com or whatever. So in there, I'm going to call this the banner. Okay, and the width of that, well look, I've left gaps here. I don't know how big they are, but I'm going to decide now. I reckon that's a 10 pixel gap there and a 10 pixel gap there. So the size of my banner, the width of my banner is 1,000 minus 10 minus 10. So that's 1,000 minus 20, so that's 980 pixels. That would leave me with this 10 pixel gap around the outside. The colour of my banner, listen, I don't know what I'm going to do, really. I'm just going to put blue in there. I'm going to put light blue, nice sort of sky blue. I'll decide on the colours later. The important part here is to get the boxes right and to get the widths and that right. Okay, that'll do for that. let's have another one down here. Down the side here, I'm going to have, this is where I'm going to put my links. I'm not going to go across, I'm going to go down the side. So hashtag links, and that's going to go about a third of the way across. So the width of that is going to be 300 pixels. That'll do. And now I'm going to put in another box to the side. Now you can design your own websites. You don't have to copy me, of course, but you do have to work it out ahead of time. This is where I'm going to put my content. So hashtag content, and the width. Now I've got to get this right. So the full thing is 1000. There's a 10 pixel gap on either side, so that's 980. I've already used 300 for this one. So then it's going to be 680 left. So I'm going to make that width about 680 pixels. Now I've got a gap down here, so I'm going to put a little footer in there. It's going to have, I don't know, my name, copyright Mr. Woods, something like that. So let's go, put text there. So that's going to be hashtag footer, and that will be the full 980 pixels wide. Colour, probably sort of grey, maybe with white text, I don't know. Okay, there we go. That's it. That's my plan. That's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to build. In the next video, I'll show you how to set up the HTML, and then in the third video, we'll get onto the CSS. All right, so got to do the HTML first. Okay, see you in the next video.